Hello everybody, this is Fernando for the latest Ghost and Spirits video. I promised I was going to do a special edition video of my second ghost hunt of the year, or in this case my second ghost hunt overall. This one having to do with a trip there to Fort Concho, located in San Angelo, Texas. I've already done another video on Fort Concho earlier in my Ghosts and Spirits series, but it mainly talks more about the history of Fort Concho and then some of the alleged ghosts that are there. So I've included the link for it below. If you have a chance and you haven't heard it or seen it, check it out below and it'll give you that information. This video is about my own experience with regards to my second ghost hunt, trying to see if I could find some of the things that were reported by the people that have gone there to Fort Concho. So I'm going to showcase a lot of photos with regards to my trip, and then finally talk about some of the experiences, at least as close to experience as possible, that we had with the trip. Now I went there with myself and my sister driving here from Austin. I was surprised about how long it's going to take there. It usually takes, I thought the map said a little over 4 hours, but it was close to 5 hours. I guess because of the extra traffic. So it is quite a ways away from the Austin area. Still, highly recommended if you have a chance. Go see Port Concho. Tickets there are only $3 for the entire day. You can do a self-guided tour even. That's what we did. And then that way you can experience pretty much from opening up until closing at 5 a walk of the location. Now, when you get there to Fort Angelo, this is the first thing that you see. This is like a post of some sort that was placed there. By the way, what was surprising about Fort Concho and what I had read from before is the fact that whenever you go there, it's surrounded by a lot of, I guess, the rest of San Angelo, like lots of little mini buildings, mini homes as well. And then all of a sudden, boom, out of the blue, there's Fort Concho right there. So it's amazing to see how they developed around this historical site there in San Angelo. And when you walk in past this post, you walk into the very first building, which is kind of like the impromptu tourist location of sorts. And you'll see some quick pictures here of what's inside that location. These are some actual artifacts of Fort Concho, like the sewing machine there, some of the clothing, some of the written letters. I wish that would have had some more time to try to see those letters in person, like to try to read every single one of them. And if you wanted to get there early enough, and you can, otherwise that's at your 100% your leisure. Again, you walk around at your own pace. We probably saw maybe 3 or 4 of the groups of people at most throughout the entire day, so that makes another good thing about the visit. You're not going to be shoulder to shoulder with tourists left and right. No, in this case, you'll pretty much be on your own for most of the day, so that was really good. Here's, like, for example, a creepy picture that was hanging apparently there in Fort Concho, staring back at you. There's some of the rifles, the long rifles that were there. So finally getting out of the very first building, this is what you'll see, which is amazing. Because when I first started walking this hallway, I was thinking to myself, this is exactly what almost 200 years ago the early Texas settlers were doing. Like, they were walking in this exact hallway. And then you're looking at some of the other pictures that showcase the very large field that Fort Concho is. Essentially, it's a giant U with in the middle of it being just pure grass. I don't know what was in there during the Fort Concho days. Presumably there were, I guess, like impromptu setups of some sort, or who knows, maybe this was something else different. But it's the dorms, that's the closest word I guess you could call them, or the barracks for the men, surrounding everything like a U, and then in the middle nothing but pure grass. It was very serene, very beautiful, because there's so much of nothing there. There's no noise, there's no traffic, there's no airplanes, there's no like the constant hustle and bustle of, let's say, a busy city. No, in this case, all it is just, in this area, in this little tiny world, it's just the barracks and then the grass in the middle. So some more pictures too. This is like a BK2, which I believe stands for barrack number 2. On the inside, you'll see that there's some of the real things from Fort Concho. There's some of the wagons that were used, for example. You can walk up straight to them. They're not behind anything concrete or any kind of glass of any sort. I don't think you can get on them though, but you can definitely walk up to them, touch them, and realize that this was stuff that was used who knows how many years back. There's a picture of some of the the wagons, also some of the horse saddles as well that were used, all authentic, all the real thing that was there. And then finally, there's some pictures of the actual cannons too, one of the large ones, and then finally one of the smaller ones too. So those are the real thing too. This was stuff that was used in Fort Concho. So great stuff to see. So far during this trip, there was no paranormal experiences yet, but I wasn't really anticipating any because none of the reports previously stated that these buildings had them. So coming outside, you'll see this next picture here, which was the next barrack over, and you'll notice again the large patch of grass there. When you reach that location, you'll see these pictures that are here, which are just some quick shots. I don't know if that's the actual wood that was used within Fort Concho and just stayed there, but again, it's so amazing to realize that walking around those buildings, you'll realize that, hey, these were the same thing that the settlers were doing, who knows, far back. Now, the next picture is this one. I don't know if this is an actual building that was there in Fort Concho or was added sometime afterward, but this is an outdoor public restroom of sorts. The left-hand side, our left-hand side, is the men's. The right-hand side is the women's. And I just went in to check it out because I wanted to see pretty much every nook and cranny associated with Fort Concho. On the left-hand side, which you'll see the picture of here, that's when I went in, and inside it's just one tiny stall and then the sink next to it in order to wash your hands. Didn't experience anything, didn't see anything. I was just nonchalantly just checking out things there. Now, by the time I left, I went back, and this is like from my perspective where I was sitting taking pictures. My sister had gone to the left-hand side to the women's bathroom just to check it out as well. Again, nobody was with us. Nobody was there. There were no other groups. So the only other people that were there were I guess the tour handlers, but they were all in the very front building, far away from us. So they were nowhere near where we were. Now, she said when she went into the women's stall just to check it out, that's when she heard what she described as a low, like a woman crying of some sort. Very low, but still audibly hearable. And the way she said it was as if it was someone, like a woman, that was trying to stifle her cry, like was trying to prevent from being heard, I guess, from someone else. But there she was still crying. It only happened for a few seconds, the way she said it, but she heard it, and then right after that, she heard what was essentially like a loud bang right next to her stall. And again, the inside of it, I wish I would have taken a picture of it, but imagine just your average restroom stall, and then there's the, I guess, the privacy wall, and then next to it is the sink. So she was in the area, I think it was near the sink, and then that's when she heard like the bang next to the stall. Again, nobody around. She came out, and by that point, I was again away taking pictures, like what you see here. And then that's when she said that she heard this stuff. Like she heard the woman's low cry, and then she heard the bang. And so I went in with her to check it out. But no, nothing for me at least. I didn't see anything. I didn't hear anything. I didn't sense anything. Nothing. So we stayed a little bit longer in those stalls, and then I went back to the men's room to try to see if anything could pop up, but no, nothing at all as well. And so reading back some of the information on Fort Concho, what we think it was the reports state that there's a woman that's known to be heard in Fort Concho, and apparently she's the wife of one of the soldiers that used to live there. So we think that that was her. That maybe she was trying to reach out to my sister, and when she did, she made some success. But unfortunately, on my end, there was nothing. So that was at least our first paranormal encounter, at least hers. With regards to me, nothing at all yet. So these next pictures showcase some of the other locations there. There is a nearby place too. I think this was added much later, a living history stable, but at least it's still there to this day. And inside you'll see some pretty cool stuff. There's some giant wagons, like the real kind that people used as transportation, like direct transportation, including one that was like a Wells Fargo wagon, which was the mainstay of what Wells Fargo did back then. They were mainly there as protection for people trying to transport money, and then in turn they would also have transport people for money as well. So that was pretty cool. You could go inside. These are pictures from the inside of the wagon, and you could sit in it. And then again, it was so cool to think that this was what people were doing back then. Like this was their experience. It's real tiny in there. So I would imagine that on a hot day, if this thing is full, because there's also like a middle bench of some sort, which you can kind of see in those shots, then it can get pretty crammed in there. So it's quite fascinating. When we left that stable outside, we were greeted by this. There were some nearby horses too, by the location. This horse, the brown one, was a little bit shy, not too much when it came to him doing anything. Instead, the larger one, which you'll see a picture of here, this one was far more friendly. Like it immediately approached me and then started rubbing against that fence. And then its head tilted downward straight to the grass that was out of its reach, telling me, of course, that it wanted to eat that. So we spent quite a little bit feeding it this grass that was nearby, and he was enjoying it all together. So that was quite fun. So now towards the right of that stable, we came across another building which contained this. These are not actual gravestones. These are like, I guess, honorarium gravestones in honor of the people. I don't think anyone was actually buried there in Fort Concho. I'll have to double check. Someone might correct me, but I don't think anyone was actually there. But still, it was interesting to come across these. And then on top of that, here's a close-up showcasing like a plaque of some sort. Another one that cites some of the servicemen and what they did there in Fort Concho. Here's another picture. This one is more, I think this was an original deal, like a storage unit of some sort that was there in Fort Concho. So that was also pretty interesting. Some of the other stuff that I've taken pictures of. This one is, I guess, this is the closest thing that we had when it came to an actual location to visit specifically for ghosts. I think this was the quartermaster or the main headquarters of the location, where I guess the captain would stand or would be there and essentially lived, like that was his residences. I can't remember exactly what the name was, but I think it was called a quartermaster. But this was the actual location of it. Now inside, when you stepped in, that's when you were able, according to other people, hear what gentleman by the name of Sergeant Cunningham. And so we went in there and this is probably the longest time that we spent in a building, was this one. All these pictures that you're going to see, these are all inside that specific location. And inside it was a little creepy, but no, on my end, I didn't feel anything, I didn't see anything, I didn't hear anything. Sergeant Cunningham apparently also is not very fond of women being in that building, and so with my sister there, we thought something was going to happen too, but no, nothing as far as any experiences. Apparently, you know when he's around because you can hear, if I'm not mistaken, like knuckles being popped, or you could hear heavy breathing. But no, we didn't feel anything, we didn't see anything, we didn't sense anything. As long as we spent in that place, I think it was close to about 20-25 minutes, we didn't experience absolutely nothing. So unfortunately, that was a bust of some sort. Still, all these fascinating pictures that you're seeing of the location is inside that place. So it was still definitely worth going inside, but unfortunately what was reported to be one of the most haunted buildings did not quite work out so well. Now, the next building that we went to that had a reported encounter is this one. This one is, I believe it was like the third one from the far end of the U of the barracks. I don't know what the QQ stands for, but it's the building that apparently has some no other known experiences. You're looking at some of the pictures inside there. This stairwell, by the way, apparently also has most of the known experiences. It has to do with a little girl that seems to frequent that location. Apparently she's been found to stand by the stairwell and look at people, or if you go upstairs, unfortunately we couldn't because as you can see it was blocked off, but if you go upstairs, she's been known to be playing in her room. Like you could hear Jax being played, that game, because that was one of her I guess most popular things to do there. I did take a picture in this case of the upper stairwell to try to see if anything could show later on, but no, unfortunately, nothing showed either in the stairwell or up the stairwell. And of course, the top again was blocked off, so I couldn't exactly go upwards to try to find anything else out. Apparently, though, if you take like a, I guess you could call it a private tour, or excuse me, if you have, let's say, they do like those ghost tours, because they do those every now and then. Not with us, unfortunately. Like this is like a special time, I think somewhere around Halloween. Then they do take you up to those specific locations too. So, but yeah, a lot of more pictures that I'll show here about some of the other locations. We went into an impromptu hospital that they had there, which you'll find the pictures of here. I was kind of hoping like this location there would be something in terms of any like haunted notifications, but no, nothing that came to mind. I don't recall anything popping out from there. And then finally, there's other pictures here. They're from the inside of a school that they had there as well. With a lot of the families living there, they had a little mini school of sorts. And that location, I too, I was hoping to see if maybe something could pop up, maybe in the form of, let's say, like children's voices or anything along those lines, but no, unfortunately not. Nothing else came up. So, but that was it. That was the trip in of itself. All the information with regards to Fort Concho and my experience there. There's more pictures as well, but most of the other stuff is pretty similar to what you've already seen. So this was, at least for the results of my second ghost hunting tour. Again, for me at least, it's more of a bust. Just like with the first one in Las Vegas, where I didn't feel anything, see anything, hear anything, except for maybe those white dots that could be orbs. In this case, for this one, nothing at all. My sister, though, she's the one that was able to experience that crying woman in the women's stall, so that was at least something that she experienced too. So, alright, everybody, as soon as I do any more other ghost tours of my own, I will definitely post those special editions like you see here. Thanks, everybody. Take care.